So you guys have got questions about making videos for your events. We've got the answers for you tonight. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is another night of industry talk, and tonight I've got a very special guest. I have got Juan Alcazar here with me tonight. Good evening, Juan.
Hey, good evening, John.
Now,
What's going on?
Things are going well here. Glad you could join me tonight. Now, for a lot of you out there, you have not heard of Juan. Juan is a gentleman that I've met through one of the courses that we're taking. We're learning about some cool stuff in the video world. And I've had questions from a lot of you talking about different little nuances of video when you're trying to do video things. And when I was looking at some of the things that Juan does, I'd like, this is the guy to answer some questions. So Juan, kind of give us a little elevator speech kind of who you are and what you do for where we ran into each other.
Okay, well, basically, my name is Juan Alcazar. I'm a film school grad from San Francisco State. I basically started making movies even before film school, but then I decided to just go the YouTube route and just to see what I can do there because a lot of filmmakers weren't taking advantage of that. So I just decided, hey, I'll just jump in. And fast forward a few years later, and now I'm taking this course with John and a few other people, and this is how we met. Yeah. And now we're doing this interview. So
yep. And Juan's page out on YouTube is JC5 Productions. We'll put the link right here, gang, so you guys can check this out. And for those of you wondering, you can click on this link and it'll open it up in a new window so you can still follow the show while it pops you over to Juan's YouTube channel. So hit this link. We'll put it up again a little bit later and put links in the description below so you guys can check it out because he's got a really cool page. Now, Juan, I was going through and looking at some of the stuff. Now, you've got, of course, some cool little short videos that you've done, but you've got some entertaining videos, and then you've got some kind of educational videos in there too. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, my channel's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, I like to revolve around the whole filmmaking aspect. And like I said, I have like short films on there. I make some little funny sketches. Well, hopefully they're funny. I mean, I think I'm funny, but and I also, like you said, I also on occasion do some tutorials for tips and tricks. But I also do some overviews and reviews of filmmaking apps and gear too.
Yeah.
So.
And there's just so many apps out there that having someone who has an experience in film like you do to be able to go in there and look at it and give some feedback for those of us who don't have the time to go and play is fabulous.
Right. Yeah, I mean, some of those apps do cost a pretty penny, so I try to, the ones I go over I actually have right now, but eventually I'm going to have to go over some of the ones that actually do cost a bit of money, if enough people ask me to review them.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and that can get expensive so quickly. Well, let's jump into tonight's show. Now, I had some questions, and for those of you watching, I did give the questions to Juan ahead of time so he could kind of prepare a little bit, because these are questions, as I go back and look at some of the YouTube comments you guys have made over the last couple of years, these are things that have come up at different times, and again, we can go into those tonight, and I'm so excited. Juan, are you ready?
Ready to go.
First off, one of the things that we've heard in the picture taking and even in the advertising, because with the Disc Jockey News we do advertising, is this thing called rule of thirds. Now, kind of give us a layman's explanation of what does that mean? What is rule of thirds?
Okay, rule of thirds is basically some basic filmmaking guideline, where if you're using your camera and you happen to see those 9 grids, those 9 rectangles on your camera, you're probably familiar with that. And basically, where the rule of thirds is where those lines intersect is where you should have your point of interest. That's where your something of interest should go. So like let's say you're filming, I don't know, like Bride and Groom or something like that.
Sure.
They might kind of go in where those lines intersect. The thing though is, those lines, they're more rules for narrative stuff that's scripted. If you're just documenting, you don't really have to abide by those rules. I mean, if you can, obviously when you're moving the camera around, you're not going to be like, oh my goodness, the rule of thirds, I have to keep it there. So, just try to keep it in mind, but it's not something that's set in stone, especially if you're just documenting. So
it's interesting. Now, not knowing the actual thing, my guesstimate would have been that they were talking that in those open spots, but you're saying where those lines intersect is kind of your focal point. That's interesting.
Yeah. I when I first looked at it, they showed me those charts, and I was like, wait, I thought you meant the actual rectangles, and they said no. It's like, oh, okay, it's kind of weird, but I got used to it.
Interesting. Interesting, yeah, because there have been times where I've used that grid when I'm taking a picture and I wanted to get kind of a low angle picture of the bride and groom, and I wanted to get kind of the lighting in the background. And now that I think about it, one of my most successful pictures, I think I did have them probably on that line and at the lower right intersection. Huh.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, they don't have to be right on the lines, just within the vicinity of the lines. So just, like I said, it doesn't, these are not set in stone if you just follow them in general.
Yeah,
so
just a little guide to help a person. Good.
Exactly.
I learned something already, and we just started. This is awesome. The next question, Juan, is people are, constantly asking this, and I get this even when I'm covering different events, because we run with camcorders at our events when we're recording these remotely, and people are asking, why camcorders or cameras? Which one would be better for the applications? What's your experience in that?
Okay, so when you mean cameras, you mean DSLRs?
DSLRs, yes, sir.
Okay, so this depends on the situation, actually. If you have like 2, 3, 4 people filming, if you have a team of that many people, then yes, DSLRs would be nice because you get to shoot at 24 frames a second. It looks all cinematic and stuff like that. But let's say you're in a situation where it's just you. It might be better to use a camcorder. The reason I say this is because when you're using a DSLR, you have to remember it shoots video, but this is primarily still a still picture camera.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a limit to how much video you can record. And the camera that I have, the Canon T2i, I know it's ancient, but I have some firmware installed called Magic Lantern.
Okay.
And what it does is it bypasses that time limit when you have to record, but there's still a problem with that. It has to reset itself. So even if you're filming continuous video, after 12 minutes, it has to reset itself for like 5 seconds, and it'll keep shooting. So even with that advantage, it still acts like a still picture camera that shoots video. So like I said, if you're just by yourself, shoot with a camcorder. If you're with a team of people, even 2 to 3 people, then you can get away with DSLRs.
Will there be an image quality difference between the two?
It depends on the specs of the camcorder. I mean, if one shoots 24 frames a second, it depends on the quality. So you just have to look at the specs. Now, another thing, I'm kind of going off a little bit here on the tangent,
sure.
But as far as miking goes, I filmed a Sweet 16 with just the DSLR's onboard microphone, and the sound quality was passable. So
mm-hmm.
I just used it. But I mean, if you're really picky, then you can mount a mic on top of that, like the Rode video mic. But you can get away with it by using just the camera's onboard mic.
Now, maybe this is just I've got a T3, I think it's a T3i, Canon T3i, and it might be just me, but I think that my camcorders, my G10 and my G30, have a better microphone pickup than that DSLR. Is that you think that would be accurate?
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, when you just compare, like you said, your camcorder, it's like the mic is like right on top of there. Meanwhile, the DSLR has this like little dinky mic hidden somewhere. So yeah, of course it's gonna pick up a better, has a better pickup pattern that's gonna pick up a lot more than your DSLR.
Okay, good deal. Let's see, next one. Oh, I gotta move my little box here. This is probably getting more to the YouTube side of it now. When DJs are putting together their little videos and they're cutting things together, and then they're putting copyright music to it. Now, is that something that people can do, or what is your experience with YouTube specifically?
YouTube and the copyright, that's always a fun topic. Well, here's the basic rule that I tend to follow. This is outside of YouTube, but basically if you're going to share it privately, you can put whatever you want. But if you're going to actually upload it somewhere or try to make money off of it, then yeah, copyright, that's going to get you in trouble big time. Now, as far as YouTube goes, it might be better to use royalty-free music if you can find it. Just be on the safe side, because I mean the worst thing you want is like you have this like killer reel or killer footage, and next thing you know, it gets taken down because you happen to use a copyright protected song. So just to be on the safe side, just find some royalty free music that kind of matches. I know it's a pain to look for royalty free music that's gonna match what you already have, but just better safe than sorry.
So on now, if I just really wanted to embed a video and it had copyright music and I know it and it gets flagged on YouTube, is there any other type of video companies out there or hosting that would allow a person to host and embed it in a website that you've run into?
The only one I can think of is Vimeo, basically. That's, I mean, it's almost like day and night compared to YouTube, so I just have to say Vimeo.
Yeah. I've done a little bit with Vimeo, and Vimeo's, in some ways, I've had problems with it because I don't think their players are as widely accepted, maybe.
Right.
But on the flip side is that you can put things and you can keep them locked down so tight that no one can, you can't pirate those videos.
Yeah, really. I mean, it has its pros and cons, but I mean, if you want to keep your copyright protected music, just use that.
Yeah, that certainly is. Okay, let's move down. Number 4, we've got 2 questions left here, and then we'll get going here. For those who are getting into, they shoot the video and they're wanting to get into some editing, is there some basic video editing software that you could recommend?
Well, I mean, the most basic would be like Windows Movie Maker. Actually, the funny thing is, like, you can actually do quite a bit with that, and if you're on a Mac, iMovie is actually pretty impressive still. I mean, you might think, oh, iMovie is just basic, but no, actually, it can do quite a few things. So, I mean, you can also use Wondershare, although I think you have to pay for that one. And there's a 1,000,001 different editors. So, I mean, even if you just Google free editors for Windows, you're going to get a lot of results just with that. So just pick and choose whichever you want, because some of them will accept some video formats, some of them won't. So it's kind of a little hard to say which ones are the best ones, but I'll tell you this: there's a lot of free ones you can choose from.
That's what my boys have told me, that one, that there's a lot. What's your personal favorite? Which one do you use?
I use Final Cut Pro, but there's also, if you want to, if you're on Windows, you can use a Sony Vegas or Adobe Premiere Pro as well. So you have those options as well. And I'm an Apple guy, so I like Final Cut Pro. But the thing is, like, is it better than Premiere or Vegas? Not really. It's just, whatever you like. If the controls are easier, some people prefer Premiere because the controls are easier. Some people prefer Final Cut because it's a lot like iMovie. So it's just whatever your preference is.
Yeah, I think that's probably the big thing, is that preference. Obviously, operating system. Myself, I've been using iMovie for, goodness gracious, for the last 4 or 5 years with us doing video, and I've just recently broke down and bought a copy of Final Cut Pro. And the biggest reason I found is because I had such a massive library, because I wasn't throwing my videos away fast enough, and it became so cumbersome. iMovie couldn't handle it.
Wow. Are you still using iMovie?
No, I'm just transferring everything. I still have it on the computers, obviously, but I've transferred everything over to Final Cut. So now it's the learning curve on all the Final Cut. But I happen to have 2 expert teenage boys who have done more video editing with Final Cut than I can shake a stick at, that are willing to coach that a little bit. So that's kind of nice.
Well, I mean, the nice thing though about transferring iMovie to Final Cut Pro 10 is, like, the files just open up on there, just like that.
Oh, that was so nice. It's like click transfer to. Bing, they're there.
Yeah, it's not like steps.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, our last question, and then we'll let you go here tonight, Juan. Some people have asked about iPads and using an iPad to record videos at events and such. Is that something that a person can use? And if so, any tips on how to get better quality video from the iPad?
If you're thinking of shooting an entire event with your iPad or iPhone, I suggest either you get the 128 gig model, because
it's gonna use a lot of it.
And you're probably going to need an empty iPhone or iPad on top of that. So I basically don't recommend doing that. I mean, if you're shooting short clips, then that's fine, but I don't recommend doing this for an entire event because it's just going to run out of space quick. That being said, however, if this is for the iPhone as well, but there is an app called Filmic Pro that you can install, and I think it's like $4 or something like that, and you can shoot in 24p on there. So you can even, I think you could even shoot in 4K or export in 4K. But still, I mean, I still recommend doing it for short clips and stuff like that. If, let's say you have if you're shooting I don't know, like a cinematic sequence for the wedding, like you want to be in an overview video, then you can do that. But I really don't recommend shooting shooting something lengthy on an iDevice at the moment, unless, like I said, you have 128 gigs, and I still don't think that's enough.
Yeah, probably you'd eat it up, especially with the 4K technology and how much That takes so much data space.
Unless you can plug in an external hard drive to your belt and carry that around with you.
Yeah, that would all of a sudden defeat the purpose. The app you mentioned, what was the name of that one again?
Filmic Pro.
Okay. Now, does that app, one of the things I found when I was using the iPad, I used it a couple of years ago an awful lot to record at some of the shows or conventions I was doing. And I was having a problem with the focus. Is there a way in that app to control the focus or set that or lock it?
Actually, there is. You can manually set exposure, white balance, focus. You can override basically the iPhone and iPad's default camera to those. So you can even lock your focus, exposure, white balance. You can do all that too. So it's not up on par with like a camcorder, but there's a lot more manual control than what you can do with the default camera.
Yeah, the default camera is not the greatest. Not the greatest. Wow, great. I've learned some things tonight, Juan. That's some good stuff. Some very good stuff.
Oh, thanks.
If people wanted to find out more information, where can they go then to check you out?
My channel is JC5 Productions, youtube.com/JC12209. Actually, that's my old name. I had my channel named something else, and then I switched it to JC5 Productions. So now I'm like, oh crap, now I got to change it somehow. But I'm going to keep it that for now.
Okay, and we'll put that link right up here so you guys can go and you can click on that, go out and subscribe to Juan's channel because he's got some great videos, not only some tips we've been talking about, but he's also got some really kind of neat videos to watch and kind of share his passion for being a creative filmmaker. So there's some good stuff there.
You can actually add something. I have a video review and overview about Filmic Pro on my channel as well. So
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, let's put that. We'll put that link in the description below, so you guys can check that out too. Because if that's a review of that software, I need to go check that out because that sounds really cool. Because that was my biggest frustration with that iPad is it would be in focus and then it would go out and it would be back in and then it'd go out. It's like, oh.
Yeah, that's not fun.
That's not good. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching tonight. If you liked tonight's video, please go down if you're one of our subscribers and you know how this works. Click the thumbs up button. We'd really appreciate that because that tells us that you like these kind of interview videos where we're getting some different perspective from outside the DJ industry, from people who work with things that we want to know more about. So give it a thumbs up if you like that. You guys saw the link. It was up here and now it's down below in the description, so you can go and check out Juan's YouTube page. There's some good stuff there. Be sure to go over there and check that out. And finally, if you have not subscribed to the Disc Jockey News, this is your very first time of seeing us, well, thank you for watching. We both appreciate that. And we'll put the link right here so you can check out and subscribe and be part of the Disc Jockey News YouTube experience. Juan, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for being on.
Hey, thank you, John.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV and Juan Alcazar from JC5 Productions. We want to thank you for watching. Good night.
If I were you, I'd hit the subscribe button before I hit the video. But don't mess things up. Wanna know why? Because I'm